Patreon, going strong. If you want to go over there and join in on the fun, we got 3 tiers on Canadian dollars. First tier is $3 a month, where you get these episodes ad free. You also get AMAs once a month, or learn about me episodes once a month. And then on the second tier, which is $5 a month, you get everything from the first tier, as well as coverage of a reality show of yesteryear. That's right now Jersey Shore, currently in season 3. You can also go to the main feed, where there will be the first episode of every season released there, so you can try that before you head over to the Patreon. And then on the third tier, you get everything from the first 2 tiers, as well as coverage from a true crime documentary. We got the backlog of Ashley Madison documentary, Man with 1,000 Kids, Into the Fire, Lacey Peterson, and again, all those episodes for the first episode of each is in the main feed, so you can try that before you head over. So if you are interested, you can head over to patreon.com/realityt times 2, and you can sign up for whichever tier you feel for. Again, you can try before you buy, which basically means you can try any tier for a week before committing to it. Even if you are on if you are on tier 1 or the first tier and you want to go over to the second tier, you could still try that second tier for a week before committing to the upgrade. So again, that is at patreon.com/realityt times 2. And of course, the link is in the show notes, website, social media accounts. It's all available there. This episode is ad-free on the Patreon. So if you want to partake in that, you can head on over to patreon.com/realityt times 2. Welcome to Reality Tea Times 2, the podcast where we discuss all trash reality TV we love to hate. I'm Tanika, and today we are going to be discussing 90 Day OG episode 9. So let's jump into that. So we start off with Marissa and Edward. So, as we know, they're heading to New York from the last episode. And her words, not mine, we are passing the smelly part of Jersey. Her words. I didn't say that. He has never heard of one of the most well-known buildings in New York, and that is the Empire State Building. We go through that tunnel from, Jersey to New York. I only know it because it's an elf. I've never been to New York. One day I will. But yes, we are here, guys. We are in da, da, na, 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 na. Start spreading the news. We're in New York. Okay, that's it. We get to her apartment. It's cute for what it is. It's definitely quite small. And she has 60 pairs of shoes there. She has more at the Pennsylvania house. And he's just fascinated by this garbage can that it's motion censored. I've never seen a motion censored garbage can myself, so I feel even in my westernized mind, I'm going to play with the censored garbage as well. But she gets on him because of the fascination and basically berates him because, oh, you're going to keep waving it, you're going to keep it open longer. So just let him have some fun. Later on, they go for dinner, and we can see the Chrysler building from where they are. Again, another building that maybe he knows it, but just doesn't know the name of it. But there you go. He doesn't remember the first one that she'd mentioned, which was the Empire State Building. She's like, you have to remember these things. Why does he need to remember these things? Is he needing to go into the Empire State Building or the Chrysler Building? No. Why does he need to know these things? I mean, it's a something you know, but he doesn't need to know these things. Dumb. But he does tell her that he is frustrated. And yes, it is with her. And he says to her, like, your lifestyle, it is a dream for someone. Um, but this is hard. And it's hard because she's making it hard. And he's like, you like to have control over everything. And I think he says that I should have the control because I'm the man. Don't agree with that. That's gross. Don't like that. Um, and he's like, I know how to do things. And she says, I hear that and I cringe. I would cringe as well. I'm cringing for different reasons. She's cringing because, again, there is that controlish mind and she needs to have the control. She's like, you fix things. Like, can you do that? She's like, I don't know. And I want a strong man to be productive. And I don't know if you can do those things. My fucking God, why not give him a chance before we just jump to a conclusion that he can't do anything? He says, I need time. Again, just got here. It's only been maybe a month. And he says, I will figure it out. And she said, but I haven't seen you figure it out since you have been here. Again, he's been here maybe I think I wrote here 18 days. That is not when he's not going to figure it out in 18 days. He's also not potentially going to figure it out in 90 days. It could take him a year to 2 years to really fully acclimate and be comfortable. You need to give him the time. And you knew what you were getting into by being with someone who is not from this country. Like, she fucking annoys me. Um, so she starts crying because I have been horrible to him. You don't get to cry by being horrible to him when you're being horrible to him. Just stop being horrible. And she just doesn't have a lot of time to make a decision. She's like, if he came more prepared, I would feel so much better. Prepared how, ma'am? Prepared how? How is he going to be prepared for something that he doesn't know what to be prepared for? He is an immigrant, newly in the country, and he's learning all of these new things, living a lifestyle that he was not living before. And you want him to learn things just like that. You guys have been together, was it 3 years? But he's really only been around your kids one time in vacation mode. He doesn't know the ins and outs of your life yet. You can't just throw him into the deep end and say, well, figure it out. Like, who does that? So the next morning, they had makeup sex. Things are fine now. And he says, listen, we can fight again and we can do this all over again because he liked the idea of the makeup sex. Um, but now it's time for her to go to work. And people at work love him. So he's actually going to be coming with her to meet everybody. And everyone is so excited to see him. Um, and it's such a stark difference between these people who she works with all the time, which, yes, it's a different dynamic. We were talking about friends, it's not family. But the stark differences between these people meeting him and when her family met him is astronomical. I'm not talking about the questions that they're asking or the fact that they have questions that they have. That's not it. It's just about the being welcoming to him and not judging him because, well, let's face it, y'all, her family probably thinks he's beneath them. So it's just a stark difference. But she's gonna set him loose on the city and hope for the best. She says, pay attention, call me if you get lost, because chances are you might. So that's Edward and Marissa. We move on to Mallorie and Rasit. So, y'all, he got his bidet, and he's actually installing said bidet, and he is happy. He tries it out, and he says, water loves my ass. She got said bidet online for only $25. So we find out, I don't know if we knew this before, that she actually works 2 jobs in order to make the ends meet. And she's like, I don't know if, I wrote that. I don't know if you know this. She is going over the bills with him to kind of help him understand her situation. And he's definitely soaking this in and being like, God, like, this is a lot. It's not cheap. And, it's a lot of money that she spends every month. And he apparently made a shop in the shed, which also costs money. And obviously, it's her money. And your grocery bill has been obviously doubled because now there's 2 people you're feeding. Not to mention, I'm sure the dog food's been doubled because now there's 2 more dogs to feed. But I digress. And he wrote down, let me write this down. Let me write down money for parents every month, about $100 or $150. Not a whole lot. And it's not a whole lot, really. But in the grand scheme of things, when he's not working yet, and I know that's not what he wants, but when he's not working and she's working 2 jobs, yeah, that's a lot of money. He says in the interview, she has accident money that she can't touch for 15 years and we need it now. But she, it's a great thing that she put that into a brokerage account, honestly. Then she drops the prenup bomb, y'all. Yikes. And she says, money from the accident, it's hers. He ain't touching that. And he agrees, yes. She says, house, she will want to put that there as well because she'd purchased it before him. Now, I don't know the laws on matrimonial homes and how this works. I know, obviously, if you buy a home while married, that is considered a matrimonial home. But if you bought the house prior to marriage, how does that work? I don't know. And I'm going to find out. And they're in Alabama. So, I don't know. Hold that thought. I am going to find out. Okay. So, the research that I found says this. In Alabama, a home you purchase prior to marriage is generally considered separate property. It does not automatically become matrimonial or marital property simply because you get married. However, separate property can be, I think it's commuled. Commuled. We'll get the figure. We'll figure this out and become subject to division by the court. The house may lose its separate status if marital funds pay the mortgage. So if joint income or your spouse's earnings are used to pay down the mortgage principal during the marriage, the equity gained can be considered marital asset. Marital funds pay for renovations. So using joint money to significantly improve or maintain the house can give your spouse a claim to the property or a right to reimbursement or increase in value. So if the home appreciated in value due to the joint efforts, labor, or financial contributions of both spouses, a court may divide the portion of that appreciation. So Alabama is an equitable distribution state, meaning a judge will divide assets and debts fairly, but not necessarily equally if the property is determined to be marital. So that's kind of the gist of it. So, although it may not necessarily be marital property, it would be considered separate property if they were to do any renovations or he's paying any part of the mortgage or whatever, then it could, you know, but it wouldn't be the house itself. It would be, I guess, the funds going into it, or if it would appreciate, which the only way it's going to appreciate is if you're doing renovations. So, there it is. So, yeah. um, So, so he basically says after all of that, that she broke his heart and she wanted to have this conversation while he was there in person, so that, she can maybe help him better understand things. But he says, like, I don't want your money. And she doesn't think that he necessarily wants her money, but we can all agree that things can change over time. But who knows what could happen in 20 years as well. And she says that she never saw a good marriage. Her parents had actually divorced when she was about 10, and she describes it as a nasty divorce that a 10-year-old did not need to be around. So obviously that's shaped who she is. And he says, I don't want to break up with you, but I don't want to sign a contract. And she's like, okay, but if you don't want my money, then what is the problem? Which I can see her side of things, but I can also understand where he's coming from in the sense of this is just not something that happens in my culture. Um, he says, it's not normal in Turkey. You break up, you split things 50-50. That's how it goes, but that's how it should go. Um, so he doesn't want to talk about this anymore. And she gets upset that he doesn't want to talk about this anymore. And it's like, but you can't spring this on him. And what did you expect? Did you expect that he'd be like, okay, yeah, I'll sign the prenup? No, that's not what was going to happen. Um, she's like, great, then enjoy your shop. And he tells her to fuck you. Wow. That escalated quick, didn't it? All right, let's move on to Thomas and Paula. So clearly they were arguing about something having to do with her needs. I wrote, I need context. What the hell happened? They don't really tell us what happened. And she says that he pissed me off earlier. She's trying to explain to him what her needs are, but he's not feeling well about how she acted. Okay. And he tells her, you go to a hotel and you live out of a suitcase, and you're only here for 2 weeks and you're getting mad about not having the perfect dresser. Okay, the difference is it kind of go back to what he said, I think, in the last episode of, oh, you have 5 closets and they're all full and they only give me 5 hangers. She's not living in a hotel. This is supposed to be her home. You don't tend to live out of suitcases when you are supposed to be in your home. If she's not asking for the perfect dresser, fuck her, she's asking for a dresser. Don't think that's hard. She says, listen, I'd rather just go back than put effort into screaming at him about it. But all she really wants from him is acknowledgement. Acknowledgement that this is hard on her and there are things that she needs as a human that she's not getting. And in his defense, he does say, which I agree with him, there's a wedding they have to plan for. So that does have to take precedent. Hear it. So then maybe, though, you could still buy her a cheap ass dresser out of fucking IKEA. You know? It's not that I don't know. But anyways, we move on from that for now, and we are heading to the Queen Mary. And I wrote, why? So now, if you don't know the history of the Queen Mary, it is a cruise ship that a lot of people died on, and it's haunted. Case closed. That's it. It's a hotel now, and I wrote, why? And Paula, she's obsessed because she thinks that there's ghosts inside. Think, ma'am, there are ghosties on that ship. Okay, you can't convince me otherwise. They're there. They're there. Anyways, she wants to get married here. Why? We go to a place where they have like entertainment for the first class. It's quite interesting in there. But the most notable ghost in the Queen Mary is, y'all say it with me, because if you know, it's the person in a color. This one's the lady in white. The most famous ones, really. So there's that. And she's like, well, I'm going to be the lady in white too. Yeah, you might aggravate the one that's not living. I'm just saying. Anyways, we head to the bow, and with the backdrop, it's actually quite beautiful. I think we could have a wedding there. I feel safe up there. I think it feels fine up there. Um, but we're glad you like it, and we can get you Queen married. Like Mary, and then you get it. Um, that was corny as fuck. She then it kind of comes up at this point that his parents, he doesn't know if they actually will be coming to the wedding. And his parents are divorced. And she did meet his mom first, and it was a good experience. She actually, took pictures and videos and stuff that she had posted online of her interactions with his mother. And then they went to go see his dad. Okay, his dad and his stepmom. And it appears that mainly his stepmom got very upset that she had bonded so well with his mother. So they ended up having to leave and they left North Carolina, after that. So now they're wondering, maybe we need to go head into North Carolina to kind of clear the air. Here's the deal. If you noticed, when we saw the pictures that were taken and then posted of them with his mother, her face is blurred out. So either she's never going to make it there, or she does make it there, but she doesn't want to be on camera. We never see her. So, yeah. So we're heading to North Carolina and brought some of her minis with her because we got to manifest a good trip. We're going to be going to his dad and stepmom's new farm. I think before they had like a beach house or something. But if this goes wrong, this marriage may not happen because family is very important to her. And the fact that the families are not seeming to get along could be a major deal breaker for her. So we meet them, and his dad seems actually very nice, but his stepmom does look a little bit miserable, y'all, very miserable. So they're going to sleep in a camper on the property, and she's being schooled on how when you use the bathroom inside campers, you are depositing into a tank, and then that tank needs to be cleaned out. She's like, "Can I just go in the forest instead? Because, I don't want to do that." He says he'll do it, not to worry, but she still thinks it's embarrassing that he will see her excrement. Anyways, they were gonna go change, and she comes out in her jean skirt and a tank top, not a farm outfit, according to his stepmom. I saw nothing wrong. She says it's not. She's like, there's nothing wrong with that. It says not a farm outfit. But she's running away from the animals because she's a city girl. This is just not what she does. And um, the reason that when she's running away from them, they're following her. They're following her because she has their food. Um, but farm girl, she is not, according to the stepmom. And that's where we end with um, Paula and Thomas. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we will jump in with Catie and Josh. Hi everyone, and I'm coming in with another product for you to take part of, and that is Clicks Creative. So they are a launch signature coaching products in a fraction of the time. Done for you programs and ebooks that you can instantly rebrand and sell. They do high quality unbranding coaching, like I've mentioned, and they do high quality white label ebooks, which are professional unbranded ebooks that you can fully customize and resell as your own. Or you can do white label coaching programs, edible, polished programs designed to help you launch high value offers quickly. Or you can also do exclusive ghost written ebooks, only one sold per customer, completely original premium ebooks. So if you are interested in taking part of this, you can head on over to clickscreative.com and use coupon code REALITYT times 2. That is REALITEAXTWO, and you can use that coupon code when you purchase your product. And I'm back. So let's jump in with Catie and Josh. It's pretty quick, actually. So she's unwell. Okay. This is post-birthday. She's unwell, and her stomach hates her. And I said, good. And she now opens her gift from Ryan. I don't know if they ever tell us what it was, But she's like, I think I drank as much as I did because, it's my birthday and like the high stress of Ryan and Josh, which she created, seeing each other. And he tells her what she did, and she says, I'm sorry. He says, sorry starts to lose its meaning after a while. Does it? Does it though? And he's like, she's like, I can love you, but still make out with other people. Sure, sure. Well, you shouldn't, but sure, sure. But these people didn't want to make out with you and you kept forcing yourself upon them. Can we talk about the elephant in the room? And he says as much though. He says, well, even if they don't want to, like Mark didn't want to, Ryan didn't want to. And she's like, I don't want to cross boundaries. But here's the thing, you're so shit faced that you can't recognize when you're crossing someone's boundaries, which is a fucking problem. She's like, do you think they want to keep hanging out with me? And he says, how do we focus on us? Because, like, our relationship is being fucked with because you keep making out with everybody. Maybe we need to focus on this. And the thing that bugged me about this whole segment was her, like, like, I'm supposed to feel sorry for you or something. Like, she's trying to elicit sympathy from me. And I'm like, man, I feel nothing. I'm so cold over here, bitch, because you're doing it to yourself. Anyways, that's them. Very quick test this time. And we move on to Aisha and Maxwell. So he wants to keep talking about her flinging his hand away when they were in the market. And he says, I didn't like it. But here's my thing. And I can't give her much, but I can give her this. She doesn't want to hold your hand, sir. She doesn't have to hold your hand. She doesn't have to. Just like if you don't want to hold hers, you don't have to hold her hand. Why are we making such a big deal because you want to hold your goddamn hand? I would be calm the fuck down. Can't give her much, but I can give her that. And then she says, you have been acting crazy and aggressive. Okay. You're raising your voice, he says to her, and you need to lower your voice. Okay. Look at you. Get your backbone, Mr. What's his name again? Maxwell. But she asks about his comment in the car from the last episode, which was like, do you think that God wants us to be together? And she's like, I'm confused. And he wants things done the right way, he says. He wants peace. He's like, if we're not, then what are we doing? Which I think is a fair question to ask. But she says, I'm not disrespecting your family. Um, no, maybe not blatantly. But when he asks you, please don't refer to my parents as mom and dad. Please call them sir and ma'am. And you don't do that. You know what I mean? But anyways, when she says she's not disrespecting his family, he's like, well, you better not. You know how like you just say kind of like an underhanded thing, like kind of under your breath that doesn't necessarily warrant a response. But she responds to it though, and she's like, hush. Oh shit. So she tells him to hush, and he tells her, don't tell me to hush, just keep talking. Uh, oh, okay. She don't like that though. So she gets up and she says, you need to think and let this stuff go with your family. Like, what the fuck go with his family? His family is important to him and he wants to be sure that everything is kosher. You know what I mean? And she says, before you were a good communicator, all this and now it's different since you're around your family. Ma'am, he's been around his family for the past 28 years. You've only been around for what, last year? I think the influence of his family would trump the influence of your Bible thumping ass. About you were told an NSYNC song was going to play in 2001. Yeah, no shit. I'm sorry. Let's continue. He's like, you want this? Great, but if you don't tell me now, and I will just pack me and my mom up and we'll leave now, and I'll be good. Time heals all wounds. And he's like, just like that, you'll be done just like that. Yes. And he She says to him this tidbit, which really feels like this is something she would say to him, not so much something he would say to her. Because here we go. She says, "You told me God told you that your wife is in the U.S. Hello, I'm from the U.S. And you said that God said that your wife is going to be from the South. Hello, I'm from the South." He don't know shit about shit. He don't know where in Alabama but is placed in the goddamn states, bitch. If you don't, am I stupid to you? Do I have stupid tattooed on my goddamn forehead? The fuck? And she's like, "How many women you going to find from the South when you're in Nigeria? Don't matter." Well, it's not like with Daniel and Lisa, where he wants a white woman from America. That makes sense. That's going to be an easy thing to achieve. And that's something that he could just think of on the top of his goddamn head. You know what I mean? This is different. There ain't no fucking way that this man said, "I want someone from the South." Bitch, if you don't, stop lying to me. Anyways, so when she keeps calling him sweetie, when she keeps calling him sweetie, it's so freaking condescending. And I want to slap the sweetie off her face. I can't stand her. And he just wants to ensure that there is a place for his family in this relationship, which I think is a fair thing to ask. And she says, "I love her family." So with that, y'all, he chooses her. They're fine now. It's okay. I wanted more. Oh, I'm going to get pissed off later too. Not now, but like in the next episode, I think. I wanted more. Anyway, she starts crying and he says, "You told me," or she says to him, "You told me you never make me cry." Girl, they all lie. Men lie. The fuck? Men will always make you cry. Please. So they go over the options of the K1 or doing the spousal visa, like the pros and the cons. And they decide ultimately to do the spousal visa because at least maybe that will be a little more guaranteed than the K1 visa. So with that, y'all, they're getting married. And with that, I ask the question of why the fuck are they on 90 Day OG? This is a B90 storyline. Not a 90 Day OG storyline. Anyways, he is worried about what his family will think about this. But it's the year of the bride. Didn't know that was in the Chinese calendar, but here we are. That's what God told her, that it's the year of the bride. Did he know? He told you that? It's a nice day for a white wedding. If you get my drift. Jesus Christ. I mean, honestly, God told her it's the year of the bride. Just like God told you that, I don't know, Bye 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 was the next song in 2001. I'm done. Okay, continue on with Shea and Anabelle. So we see him taking pictures of the dining room table, that's Nicole's, and taking the other stuff to the dump. And Anabelle has not spoken to him, since all of this happened. And he comes back and he tells her the couch is gone and they're going to talk over coffee. So he tells her that what Allison said did happen, but it's also taken out of context. Which is it? Did it happen or was it taken out of context? Which is it? She's like, "So why does Allison think that you still love Nicole?" And he says, "Well, it's just a running joke, you know what I mean? That we kind of love each other, but like we can't stand each other. It's a joke." What? No, 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 no. That's not a joke. You love each other, but you can't stand each other? No, that means if you guys could stand each other, you would still be together. That's weird. That's not funny. So that's not gonna work for her. That crosses her boundaries. He's like, "What do you mean? Like what?" And she's like, "I need you to break up with her." I need you to end it. Like not talk to her, cut her off completely. But she doesn't have me quite here. Do I think he needs to create boundaries around his relationship with Nicole? Yes, I think it needs to strictly be co-parenting. But at the end of the day, there is a child involved in this relationship, and he can't just cut her out. That could jeopardize his relationship with his youngest child. And he says as much. He says, "We have a child. There's always going to be an attachment." But she says no. She wants to completely cut off. And I'm like, But if I was Shea, I would tell her, well, here's your bags, here's your ticket, I'm gonna take you back because no, my child has to come first. Do I need to create boundaries? Sure. But my child comes first, and I can't jeopardize my relationship with her mother so that I can make sure that I maintain my relationship with our child. Instead, though, that's not what he says. He he says that yeah, okay, fine, that's it. He's gonna end it. What? About like how does it work with your child though? He said this is gonna be the beginning of change. No more partying, or she's the one that said there's no more partying or drinking, but his birthday is around the corner, so they'll probably be drinking, um, and some partying, obviously. So with that being said, we head on to the lake house for his birthday party, and we're also 30 days into their visa. And the lake, it's very peaceful and it's very relaxing. It actually looks very nice. And Allison shows up with this kind of camping chair that is literally going to fit like at least two people. And he says that I'm going to talk to Allison and tell his Annabelle to go back inside the house and stir the chili. But he asks her when Annabelle walks away and asks her, why wasn't I included in that conversation between you and Annabelle? And she's like, I don't think everything, or he says, I don't think everything in my past needs to be brought up. And he's like, we're not married yet. And we almost weren't because of you. And Allison, just like I would have, and I literally said, it's not her fault, says, no, because of you. It's your fault. Sis Boomba. Um, so now everyone is filing in for this party. This chick, Sabrina, is very nice to Annabelle, maybe too nice. And she's like, have you ever done a Jaeger bomb? I don't know. I haven't even done a Jaeger bomb, but I would. But she does do one, maybe two. And she's like, the just Sabrina chick is like, I think she liked it because she did another one. But Annabelle may be happy now, Allison says, but not for long because then we meet a girl named Aspen who he says, if I was 21, Annabelle wouldn't even be here in front of her. The fuck? I would be so pissed. I'd walk out and say, okay, cool, cool, cool. I'll just see myself out of the whole country. And he would buy her own island. Like, these are things he's saying to this Aspen girl. And then he also lands this one and says, and an apple pie for my sugar pie in front of his fiance to another woman. I would be done. I'd be pissed. But anyways, that is it for me. Well, before I say that part, that is it for the episode. We'll be jumping into some last resort next. But until then, y'all, that is it for me. And that is it for this episode. If you liked what you heard, bear with me because I have not done an outro for this, for the podcast in quite some time. So bear with me here. So if you liked what you heard, you can go to any of your favorite podcast apps. You can like, follow, make sure you don't miss a single episode. And you can also rate the podcast at either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It'd be greatly appreciated. As a reminder, any 5-star ratings that are given to the podcast or any comments that are given to the podcast will be read on the podcast, which I have done in the past. If you want to connect with the podcast through social media, you can find me at Facebook and Instagram at realityt2. You can also find me at Twitter, TikTok, and Blue Sky at realityt2pod. I believe you can email me at realityt2 at hotmail.com, and you can have any inquiries, anything like that, any ideas, any shows or episodes you want me to cover, you can definitely do that over there. And I am going back to our old website, and that is at solo.to/reality tea times two. There you can get any of the links to anything that I didn't mention here, any of the socials, website, email, all of that. It's all there for you. And we also have a new thing there where you can help support the podcast as well. It's called a tip jar. And you can tip whatever your heart's desire if you want to support the podcast, but don't want to necessarily support the podcast in going to Patreon, for example, or any of the links in any of the advertisements. You can do it there. But since we're on the topic of Patreon, you can head on over to patreon.com/reality tea times two, where there you can get access to even more than what I do here. There are 3 different tiers where you can get these shows ad free, as well as our next tier up where you would get another reality show that's being covered. So, we have Jersey Shore that's been getting covered. That's still being covered currently at the time of recording of this outro, but the future is bright with what's to come in the future, which I will be discussing, or I have discussed. I don't even know. And then also our next tier is a true crime tier as well. So you can definitely head over for that. But that is basically it. I will also just quickly mention here too, if you're interested in a different take of a podcast that I'm a part of, we do things a little differently, you can head on over to Next Take Podcast, where I usually drop bonus episodes here on this feed, but there you get a lot more. And that podcast is making changes. We're growing, doing new things, but you can definitely head on over there if you want to just hear a little bit different than what I do over here. So you can find that podcast over at our website, solo.to/next take podcast. And there we'll have all the links to your desire that will link you to any of your favorite podcast apps or YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of it. Social medias, it's all over there. But of course, you can still find that podcast at any of your favorite podcast apps. But that is it for this episode. We'll see you next time with another episode. Bye, everybody.